Shopping and cooking tips. So these are just very brief shopping and cooking tips that we're going to be talking about just to give you some ideas on shopping healthy and cooking healthy. So the number one thing I often tell people is shop for what's in season. Buy things that are more in season, are fresher. They're oftentimes cheaper, they taste better. And when things are not in season, sometimes it's better to buy frozen or even canned. And these often cost less. So these are a great option if you're looking to budget. There's nothing wrong with buying frozen or canned versions of fruits and vegetables. If you are buying frozen or canned, for canned, just make sure the fruits are packed in their own juices. Lower in sodium is best. For vegetables, you can also rinse them, and that'll decrease the sodium. And making sure there's no anything added to them, no gravies, no sauces, those types of things. Make sure it's just the vegetable or fruit. Shopping the perimeter of the store for the most part. This is a very, very common tip I think dietitians often get, but I think grocery store people are learning that we give this tip, and now they're putting unhealthy things in the aisles, which I've seen from doing grocery store tours. So the reason we say shop the perimeter is because typically that's where the fresh food is, things that your produce, your fresh meats, those types of things. So stick to those foods. The majority, look at your shopping cart the next time you go shopping. The majority of that shopping cart should be produce. You definitely need to go between the aisles to get different cooking ingredients or different things that you prepare. Your whole grains are typically in the aisles. So you definitely need to use those, but try not to go down every aisle. Try not to go down specific aisles that you know might trigger you to buy things that aren't as healthy. So really try and stick to that produce section and spend the most time there. And as I often talk about is being familiar with your ingredients list. I can't stress that enough. Know what's in your food. This is so important. Next time you're in the kitchen, go in your pantry, or next time you're at the grocery store, just take a glance at your ingredients list. Things that you might think are healthier might not be. And the best kind of foods actually don't have an ingredients list because they're produce. So think about that. But when you're in the aisles, take a look. And you don't have to do this for every single food, but maybe things that you buy every single week, things that you and your family are consuming on a very regular basis. Look at those ingredients list. The smaller the better. The more whole foods, the better for your ingredients list. And again, the best foods don't even have one because they're fresh produce. So these are just some foods that are in season, just to give you an idea. You can also internet search what's in season in your area. So spring, summer, fall, winter, and then year round. But again, the nice thing about grocery stores nowadays is you can find these foods all year round for the most part. They might not be what's in season, but you certainly can find them. And any plant food is good to have, whether it's in season or not. We just really encourage you to eat with the seasons. So some shopping and cooking tips for vegetables. My favorite way to tell people to cook vegetables is either to saute or roast them. This really brings out the natural sugars in vegetables and the wonderful flavors they have. In cooking with a small amount of fat, this will enhance the absorption of a lot of the phytochemicals. Lycopene, for example, in tomatoes is enhanced when you pair it with a healthy fat. You don't need a lot of fat, just about a teaspoon of oil. So you don't need to slather in butter or oil or anything, just a little bit of fat will work. Cooking in minimal liquid, this will help reduce any kind of nutrient loss. So unless you're making a soup or a stew where you're consuming the liquid, I often encourage people to cook things without a lot of liquid in them. So saute, roast, steam is another good option. Cooking a short time, some of those nutrients are lost when you cook food for longer, so cooking them as quick as possible. I would say till they're about tender crisp is a good kind of standard to go by. Using your spices, garlic, rosemary, thyme, curry, turmeric, paprika, these are all wonderful spices, and spices actually have a lot of phytochemicals in them and a lot of good nutrients. So these are definitely things we want to add. They're not just great for flavor, they're also healthy for our bodies. And this will help you use less salt too when you use a lot of these. And avoiding cream sauces and any kind of thick gravies. For grains and starches, choosing your whole grains, again, brown rice, quinoa, barley, whole wheat pasta, just a few examples. And what I like to do is add flavor by using a low sodium chicken or vegetable broth instead of water. I think this provides a little bit, it has more flavor to it when you're cooking with that. And I like to point out the low sodium, not the lower sodium. The lower sodium still has quite a bit. So look for that low sodium versions of those foods and then add in some spices to that. Potatoes as well, those are a great source of nutrients. White potatoes as well as sweet potatoes have a lot of nutrients. Sweet potatoes slightly outweigh your white potatoes when we're looking at their nutritional profile, but white potatoes certainly have a lot of nutrients as well. Choosing whole potatoes instead of pre-made, so always go for that produce section, go for that whole tomato or whole potato instead of those boxed potatoes or pre-made packaged potatoes. And then choose your healthy toppings. Salsa is a great option. Low-fat cheese, even veggies, broccoli is a great option to add. You can do like a stuffed sweet potato with maybe some black beans and a little bit of cheese, a little bit of sour cream, a small amount of butter, but really kind of watching how much butter and sour cream you add and really filling up more on the veggies and the beans.